Hi, I'm Heather.
Hi, I'm Ray.
And my friend Chris told me to start making my own YouTube channel of cooking shows. We are going to be making cheesy mashed potatoes today. Just a disclaimer, this is all unscripted. Anyway, let's get started. Here are our supplies. We have sharp cheddar and milk and pepper and salt and garlic and red potatoes. So what you would do normally is you would wash them, but we've already washed them. So all we're going to do is take a knife and we are going to cut them.
Here, give me a knife. I can help you cut.
Here. Okay.
I like cutting them up into quarters, because, well, that's just...
I like not cutting myself. I think this is, yeah, however you want to do it, it's all going to get mashed anyway. Now the reason why we are not peeling the skin is because red potatoes are really yummy with their skins on. So we are going to make red mashed potatoes. So they are going to look different than normal mashed potatoes, also because we're putting cheese in them. The reason why we're using garlic is because I had leftover garlic from other things that we have been doing this week. So the really cool thing about cooking is that once you know how to do anything,
you can't stop doing it.
Well, that, and you can kind of just put whatever you want in things.
And make really, really awesome recipes that you never would have been able to find on the internet otherwise.
I'm using a recipe that my mother gave me, and I've made it before, so this should turn out pretty good actually. What you're going to do, after you finish cutting everything, you're going to drop them in a pot. It has to be large enough that you can boil the potatoes in it and you can mash it. Okay, make sure all the pieces are coming apart from each other. Ray's pieces are cut much smaller than mine, but that's okay. It really does not matter. All that really matters is that they're a size that you can mash. Now what you're going to do, you're going to take it over to the sink. And you're going to fill it with water until they float and stop. So now you take it over to your trusty stove and you turn it on. And you let it boil. So now it's starting to boil a little bit better, and there we go. It is now boiling enough that we are going to turn down our heat. And now we're going to go over to our timer where I set 15 minutes on it, and we're going to let it boil for 15 minutes. Now, do not walk away from the stove. I've done this. My mother gets very angry at me when I do this. If you walk away, it can boil over, and that will cause very big problems.
But more importantly, someone's mother is going to be angry at you if you walk away from the stove. Also, it's a good idea to stir it every now and again.
You want to just make sure that the potatoes on the bottom aren't burning while the ones on top aren't cooking. Okay, so we have a minute left, and you can see the water has become murky, which is just normal, and it's not bubbling all that much because I've been stirring it just to make sure that everything's cooking evenly. We're going to turn the stove off. We're going to use pot holders because you don't want to burn yourself. And I set my sink to spray water, and what you're going to do is you're going to turn cold water on. And you're going to dump the water out. But you want to leave some in. You can always add more water in later. You cannot take it back out. So, turn the sink off. Put this back on the stove. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the cheese and the butter and milk, and we're going to put some of each in. So the first thing I'm going to do is put the butter in because we want it to melt and the stove is no longer on. So I'm going to just do small little pieces and spread it around. We're eyeballing this so we can always put more in later, you know, based on tasting it and personal preference. Then I'm going to pour some milk in it. And we're going to throw some cheese into it as well.
cheesy.
We like cheese. And we're going to put a little bit of garlic in this as well.
For that extra kick.
So we have minced garlic and olive oil that we had bought for other projects. So we're gonna do a small spoonful. And once we start mashing it, if we don't like the taste, we'll just add more. So you always want to start with less. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna mash. And it's gonna be hard to do at first. You wanna kind of twist like that. You make sure you get the edges like that. I think I may have put in too much milk for how much potatoes I had. You can always add more potatoes if we have some, because this is already pretty mushed and we kind of have too much liquid in here. It is thickening, as you can see down there. So I did overestimate it, but not by very much. Ray is going to wash.
Rather accidentally put in a little bit too much milk. We're going to even that out by putting in a little bit more potato. Now we have variety.
The nice thing about not using all of your supplies is then if you screw up, you can add more. You know what you did wrong. And it's just not light and fluffy. This is more soup consistency, which is not what you want at all. And we're gonna get working on fixing my mistake, and in YouTube time, in a second, you'll see us adding in the new potatoes.
But in real life, it's going to take 20 minutes.
The potatoes have boiled again, and now we are mixing it into what we already had made. I only boiled these for 8 minutes and I did it on a higher heat, so it might be a little harder for me to mash, but ultimately you can already see that it's fluffing up like potatoes are supposed to, so that's a positive thing. You want to make sure you're getting the sides, you want to make sure that you're getting everything. So see, you can see that there's some white in there that you don't want because everything else is yellow because of our cheese. Right now, the two things I need to do is make sure that the potatoes we added are mixing in, and I also need to make sure that there's no super creamy soup stuff left in here either. Even though I screwed it up, I was able to save it, which is the important thing to remember about cooking, is that even if you mess up, you can probably still save it. It does not count if you burned it. Throw it out and start that shit over. I think we need a little salt and pepper. So I'm gonna take this.
Well, I was thinking that should be for everyone to decide on their own, but
Mashed potatoes are supposed to contain a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. So I only sprinkled in a very light helping of it, and I'm gonna mash it in. The reason why I'm not using a lot of salt is because I used the garlic with olive oil, and olive oil probably contains a healthy amount of salt. Plus the garlic is going to flavor it, and typically you use salt to flavor it. I have a pepper grinder, so that I don't use very often. I'm going to, again, just lightly put in some pepper. I don't like a lot of pepper in my mashed potatoes. Other people in my family do. So I'm mixing this all in. Again, you can kind of flavor things however you'd like. The whole point of cooking is to make things that you like. So now let's taste it again. We have successfully created mashed potatoes. Personally, I'd put a little more cheese in it. More cheese?
cheese.
More cheese. We are cheesy loving people here.
Again, whatever seems good to you people. If you're not necessarily the cheesy type, lay off the cheese a little bit.
Or if you're like us, add tons. 3 bowls, you ask? Because our cameraman apparently deserves mashed potatoes as well. I'm not entirely sure I believe this, but since he's the one holding the camera, and he may have some influence with our director, I'm going to give him some.
Mmm.
This is definitely good.
Neil, get in on this.
Oh no, our camera guy is ending up on camera. Oh no. We're breaking the fourth wall.
Good.
This isn't half bad.
Very good.
But Heather, what if the people watching this video already know how to cook?
Well, then you can stand here and laugh at me all you want. It's okay. If for any ungodly reason you actually enjoyed watching this video, put some requests down in the comments and I will see what I can make for you. And otherwise, please be kind. This was my first video.
It was all of ours, Heather.
Don't make me cry.
And that is not mine, actually.
Well, YouTube, thanks for your time. We hope you enjoy the potatoes, and like my friend Heather said, if you like what you saw, recommend some things that we can cook for you, and we will. And we will.